Hello everyone, it's me, Henry Boxstall. Welcome to my channel, Troubleshooting with Henry. Let's get this party rolling. Today's guest is Maureen Smith. Maureen was born and grew up in St. Albert near Edmonton, Alberta, the middle child of a teacher and an Army parachute specialist. From an early age, Maureen was engaged in the arts and the creative life. Throughout her childhood, Maureen danced competitively as a member of a local dance troupe, winning many competitions. Maureen became a professional actor, touring Canada and performing on stages across the country, including the National Arts Centre, the GCTC, and Arts Court. Maureen received certification as a black belt in Taekwondo, as a yoga instructor, and as an elementary school teacher. Hi, Maureen, and welcome to Troubleshooting with Henry, the interviews. I've got 10 questions for you. Are you ready to get started?
Hi, Henry. I'm so ready and I'm so excited to be here and hanging out with you.
When you were a kid, what did you want to do as a grown-up?
I have a vivid memory of wanting to be an actor. I remember, in fact, I think I still have it. I wrote a little essay when I was about 13, so grade 8, and it was exactly that question: what do you want to be when you grow up? And I wanted to be an actor. I knew I wanted to work in the arts. So that was always clear for me.
Wow, that's impressive to have a clear image at such a young age. That's such an inspiration.
Oh, thanks. It's funny that because it was clear, and then I found I certainly didn't grow up in a family of artists, I would say. Like my mom and my dad certainly didn't do that. And so then I found myself moving towards more practical things. I think it's not always considered practical to be an artist. And so it led me down different paths. But being an artist in one form or another is the thing that I've always come back to, no matter what. So yeah, it's always been in my heart.
What's your career now?
Right now, I'm working as a kindergarten teacher with the local school board.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a big job. I love it, and it actually allows me to be an artist in many ways. So I can continue down that path of artistic pursuits, but from the perspective or the point of view of a teacher. So it's been very interesting and keeps me curious.
Yeah. How many times have you said, "Don't eat that, get down from there, focus"?
That should be embroidered on the shirts that I wear to work every day. Um, yeah, that's true. I see it a lot. I try though. I tell you, the trick is I try to put it in a different reference. So I try to put it into a positive. So let's say someone is, for example, eating dirt, because it happens. Not ideal, but it does happen. I might say, oh, let's say you're my student, Henry. I might say, oh, little Henry, the dirt stays on the ground, instead of don't eat the dirt, because then we're just filling up their worlds full of things they don't do or shouldn't do, instead of that makes sense that the dirt should stay on the ground and shouldn't go in my mouth. But it does happen. So yeah, there's a lot of managing little people and making sure that they're safe and healthy and mostly happy, but safe is a big one. And we are many in our kindergarten classrooms, many people, and so being organized and having a modicum of control in the classroom. And by control, I mean, organized, and we have a system, and that system is understood. That's a big part of it.
What's the worst job you've ever had and why was it so bad?
Okay, it was really bad. It was really terrible. I was a young actor and I needed a job. I needed a summer job and between theater gigs. And there was this company that did what you call dinner theater. And in between their dinner theater gigs, so they wouldn't hire me as an actor to do the dinner theater, but they would hire me to do some of their other little sidebar jobs. And so this sidebar job was helping a bank advertise their new opening. And so I got hired to dress up as a clown and deliver flyers that were attached to a box of chocolate and some balloons and go into these corporate offices and sing a jingle that was advertising this bank opening. And I was so embarrassed. Do you want the second part of the story?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was so embarrassed. And I was at university also at this time. And there was a young gentleman that I liked and was pursuing and trying to date. And he had a summer job in one of these office buildings. And I was dressed up as this clown. And I was in this elevator and I was going down the elevator. At the last second, guess who popped into the elevator? And I'm horrified. And I'm in full clown costume. Like, just imagine like the full on, like the clown at the circus that you imagine. That's what I was dressed up as, with the big crazy probably red wig and the full makeup. And he walked in and I was mortified, and I made a conscious effort to not look at him and not say anything and just ignored him. And then he left, and then I got so upset, and I started to resent the fact that I was walking around with all these chocolates and balloons and I wasn't able to eat some of them. So this is phase 3 of the story. I took myself into a public washroom and I ate some of the chocolates. And then part 4 of this story is that later on, I did bump into this fellow at a party on campus at the university, and he did ask me if I was potentially dressed up as a clown, and I said no. And I never did end up dating him, but that was the worst job I ever had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awkward, to say the least.
So awkward.
Did you go to college or university? And if so, what did you study there?
Yeah, I was lucky enough to go to university. So I grew up in Alberta, as you mentioned, in a city called St. Albert, and just at Edmonton is the University of Alberta. And so it was a given that if I was going to do post-secondary education, that's where we would go. And so I started off as an English major, history minor. Then I switched to history major, drama minor. And then I auditioned for the theater arts program. So I ended up with a Bachelor of Fine Arts in acting from the University of Alberta.
Well, that's interesting. How did you like it?
I loved it. I loved it so much. It was a very intense program, long hours, long days. But I loved every second. Well, maybe not every second of it, but I loved the whole experience enough so that I knew when I did the audition for the program, because they were only taking 12 students a year at this time into the program, and you had to audition to be allowed to do it. I said to my mom or my parents that if I didn't get into the program, that I was going to quit university and go and move to London, England, where I have I had an uncle who at the time was working in the theater, working as an actor. And so that was how determined I was to work in theater. I was not going to go continue in some studies that weren't that interesting to me unless I got into this program. So lucky thing I got in.
What got you interested in the job that you have now?
It was a series of experiences. So when you're working as an actor, I think this is probably the case for many people in the field that there isn't always consistent work. And so you find yourself looking for other things to do, to make money, to pay the bills. And so one of the things that that I have found that I was naturally inclined to was teaching. And there, we were lucky enough in Ottawa, in this city we're in right now, to have a number of places that we could work from as teachers. So I did, and I found myself at a particular school, the Ottawa School of Speech and Drama, and I found myself really enjoying teaching very much. But I also knew, after a number of years and a number of experiences with different age groups, that I had an understanding of teaching, but not not a theory, not a proper professional theory, not what we call a pedagogy. And I wanted that. I wanted to know really how to teach with good learning outcomes and context-based resources, and just really how to do it. What is the science of teaching, or what is the craft of teaching? And so I applied to go back to school, and I did that. And that's where I learned. So I did a teaching degree at the University of Ottawa, and that's where I feel like I got some theory, some pedagogy, and I began my practice and my craft of teaching. But it came out of an artistic experience, and I need to pay some bills. And now it's ended up being a combination of art and teaching. Art led me to teaching, and now teaching is leading me back to art.
Can you give me an example of a time you had to troubleshoot an issue with your job or your personal life and the solution you came up with?
There are levels of challenges for sure. And I'm just, one that's popping into my head is a bit of a crossroads, I would call it. So I was working as what we call here a supply teacher or a substitute teacher. So I had one foot in the teaching world as a supply teacher, and I had one foot in the acting world, still working as an actor. And I wanted to try to do both. And it became very clear through a series of events when we were watching the arts in our city, the funding diminish. And so there was less work for actors. And also, with any craft, you have to really work your craft and hone it and practice it to be good and to continue to be hired and to make those connections and to get to those auditions. And I found myself less able to do that because I was at the same time teaching. I found it more financially stable. And so that's the area, that's the path I went down. So that crossroads I found a little bit challenging because it was a struggle for me between practical on one level and then very personal on the other. Not that teaching isn't personal, but they're two very different paths. And so that was a big struggle for me. And ultimately, I have two children and a husband and a house and a car and a dog and responsibilities. And ultimately, that felt like the path that I needed to go down for some security. So that was a crossroads for me. And I think I went to the road of safety and security. Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Thanks.
Now, what do you do for fun?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, everything's fun, Henry. Honestly, if you look at it the right way, there are things that are fun and there are things that I find great joy in. So great joy in spending time with my friends and my family, great joy. We do a lot of laughing. So laughing is big on my list of fun things to do.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm really enjoying long walks through parts of the city that I hadn't really looked at before, and I'm working on my curiosity. So I'm really trying to view things through a different eye, through an artist's eye again. So no matter that I went down this path of practicality, the artist can't help but come out. And so I'm looking at things again through an artist's scope. I've taken a couple of art classes, which I've really enjoyed, and it's given me new perspectives. That's fun. And I can't wait to get back to the galleries. So things like that. And I can't wait to get back to real good coffee visits. I miss that. So all of those things, and everything is fun. Honestly, it's all fun. And you just it's the perspective that you bring to a thing.
If someone was visiting the city where you live, what would you recommend they see?
Would you be okay if I took a little bit of a different angle on that question?
Yes, I would be 100% amenable to that.
Okay, good. Because it occurs to me, we're kind of talking about things that come from the heart, or certainly as an artist those are important things for me. So one of my truths is this beautiful place that I know from having grown up in the area. And so this is in Alberta, which geographically is a stunning province. And I've had some very fortunate opportunities to really investigate it. When I was working as a young actor, we toured the whole province. And so I was able to see, for example, in southern Alberta, it's almost desert-like, and they have discovered dinosaur bones, and there's the beautiful Tyrrell Museum, and moving north into like the Hoodoo Gurus, and then the foothills, and then right up into the Rocky Mountains. It's really outstanding. To specifically answer your question, there's this highway, the Highway 22, and it's called nicknamed the Cowboy Trail. And I had an opportunity to go back, and the Cowboy Trail is stunning. So we came right out of the Rocky Mountains and into the foothills, which are, well, so many things. They're rolling smaller hills, gold, wheat fields, true farming land, true cowboy country. If you had to have an image of cowboy country in your head, or you've maybe seen some of those Western movies, this is it. And peaceful, calm, long stretching highways, with maybe a barn off to the side, or a few trees out there, and sun. And then we ended up in this sort of a southern tip of the Rocky Mountains, and the whole experience was just outstanding, and it had sort of taken me back to some of my youthful experiences. But I was also seeking out a greater understanding of some of our Indigenous cultures, communities like the Cree communities and the Blackfoot communities, which I had an understanding of as a child, but now as an adult I begin to review my understanding of that. And I wanted to see places like Big Rock. It's a glacial leftover, and this big rock in the middle of this field, and it's a sacred place. It's a holy place for some of our indigenous communities over there. And then another place called Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump, which is also stunning and full of history and culture that we need to learn about, and that I needed to relearn. And then Saskatoon berries.
Yeah.
This is a low growing bush, and I think it grows in Alberta mostly because of the elevation. I'd really have to look that up to know what the science is there, but amazing little berry. So my point is, my long meandering trail story is the Highway 22, the Cowboy Trail. I think if you have an opportunity to go west, it's beautiful, and that's where I would send you.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And then we could collect, if we went at the same time, we could collect some Saskatoon berries and make a pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be a lot of fun.
That's an elbow right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thank you, Maureen, for being on my channel.
Thank you, Henry, for having me. I wish you and your team all the best, and anything I can do to support it, I will embroider that on my t-shirt also.
That's so awesome.
You're awesome. This is what we do in kindergarten. Round of applause. See, I made a circle. See what I did there?
I think that's good. I really liked Maureen's answer to my question, what do you do for fun? She said, everything is fun. She made the point that no matter what you're doing, with the right people, you can still have a good time. And with the right attitude, you can make anything fun. For example, once I had a job on a working farm, I had to shovel a lot of manure. It was gross, but one of my favorite people was with me, and we were making a lot of jokes and laughing a lot. So because we adjusted our attitude, we turned something gross into something fun. If you're faced with a challenge, one thing I can suggest is take a step back and see if you can adjust your attitude, change your perspective, and maybe you can see it in a different light and turn something that might be negative into something more positive. And remember to breathe, as challenges can sometimes be stressful, and deep breaths can bring calm. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe below. And as always, special thanks to Johnny Flynn for giving us permission to use his beautiful music. Happy travels!
Is waiting for you.